And has Islam proved that he's the best? Yeah, at 2 different weight classes. He sure has. And the 2 weight classes changes all the numbers of all the guys that he was trying to surpass tonight. Changes everything when you're doing it multiple weights.
And if you can do that for a long period, that makes you one of the best. And that's the pressure that comes with being a champion. That's why great champions like Georges St-Pierre started to lean on the wrestling style, because they feel the pressure of being the champion, the millions of dollars that are coming in through sponsorship, the massive paychecks that you get every single time you fight, and just the identity. You're the champion of the world. You're the dominant champion. He was the 4 times lightweight champion, or defended it 4 times, and then moved up to welterweight, and now he's won his first defense, right? So whether or not it was the most dominant thing you've ever seen doesn't matter. It was clearly a victory.
The standard of excellence that Islam Makhachev routinely sets is, he is one of the best fighters I've just ever seen. He is one of the most, if not the most complete fighter at an elite level that I've ever seen. And when I say complete, I mean taking that skill set and using it to move up in weight and through challenges, right? I mean, Georges St-Pierre may have had a prettier overall game, but the way in which Makhachev is able to utilize what he has through increasingly difficult challenges is very, very remarkable.
Gamesmanship, whatever you want to call it in this game, you come out in that 5th round with a flying knee or something crazy and you try to finish the fight. I think that this is one of those fights that Ian will go back and watch and say, wish I could do that over again.
A great win for Islam. He breaks Anderson Silva's win streak record. He goes to 17 straight wins in the UFC. What a career. 29-1, 7 championship defenses. He's done it at 2 weight classes. He's creeping up into the GOAT conversation now.
As the UFC 330 is over, and Islam Makhachev just silenced Ian Garry with a statement victory that has the entire MMA world talking. From Michael Bisping and Chael Sonnen to Luke Thomas and the Wade concept, the praise is pouring in as analysts break down Islam's dominance. Even Dana White couldn't resist mocking Garry while praising Islam. This wasn't just a win, it was a warning to the entire UFC. Chael Sonnen was blown away by Islam Makhachev's composure, saying even when the fight presented moments that could frustrate a normal fighter, Islam simply refused to unravel. That was the difference. Islam stayed ice cold under pressure and proved he could keep pushing forward when lesser fighters would mentally break.
Now, let's talk Islam. Very, very impressive how he can stay composed. Very impressive that things that would generally frustrate somebody, Islam can deal with, because he does get frustrated. But he deals with it. In every upset you've ever seen, in every sport you've ever seen an upset in, the same component, which is the athlete who's upset, finds himself in a contest harder than he thought it was going to be. He has less energy with more time on the clock than he thought he would have. And he starts to unravel. And there was moments that could bring a normal athlete real frustration, but Islam just dealt with it. That was the fight. You'll hear fighters say all the time, you know, my biggest opponent is myself, but it's largely what I'm talking about right now. Can you just overcome? Can you just stay in the moment? Can you just go 1 more minute, 1 more exchange? We can give up, but let's not give up this round. We'll do that next round and just keep telling yourself until the fight's over. And Islam really did that well. I spoke to Daniel Cormier.
To sum up that, Chael Sonnen says he still can't identify Islam Makhachev's weaknesses, but now he sees a completely different threat in Michael Morales, someone he believes could defend takedowns better than Ian Garry, engage more explosively, and bring greater power. Garry couldn't crack Islam's dominance, but Morales may bring the tools to create a whole new problem, making a potential Islam versus Morales' showdown suddenly very interesting.
Watching Islam tonight, I cannot tell you what his weaknesses are. He really fought everywhere and he fought well. But my interest in seeing Michael Morales take on Islam did not exist until now. Just now is when I realized that Morales could do a better job defending takedowns than Ian, at least in theory. And that Morales can engage a little bit more explosively. I can't say Morales' combinations are better than Garry, but I think that his power is. And all of a sudden, Morales starts to look like a very interesting proposition.
Wrapping it up, Chael Sonnen says, Islam Makhachev has proven himself the best across 2 weight classes, making his dominance even more extraordinary. Islam isn't just dominating one division, he's rewriting the standard across 2 weight classes, and that makes stopping him look more terrifying than ever.
We have a reason. We have a reason to be here. And has Islam proved that he's the best? Yeah, at 2 different weight classes, he sure has. And the 2 weight classes changes all the numbers of all the guys that he was trying to surpass tonight. Changes everything when you're doing it multiple weights.
Shifting to that, Michael Bisping compared Islam Makhachev's championship mindset to Georges St-Pierre, explaining how elite champions adapt when the pressure becomes enormous. Just like GSP, Islam knows that being champion isn't about chasing a finish every time. It's about controlling the fight and finding a way to win, no matter how ugly it gets. Bisping's message was clear. True champions like Islam find a way to survive, dominate, and keep the belt.
And if you can do that for a long period, that makes you one of the best. And that's the pressure that comes with being a champion. That's why great champions like Georges St-Pierre started to lean on the wrestling style, because they feel the pressure of being the champion, the millions of dollars that are coming in through sponsorship, the massive paychecks that you get every single time you fight, and just the identity. You're the champion of the world. You're the dominant champ. He was the 4 times lightweight champ, or defended it 4 times, and then moved up to welterweight, and now he's won his first defense, right? So whether or not it was the most dominant thing you've ever seen doesn't matter.
Turning to fight analysis, Bisping highlighted how Islam Makhachev immediately exposed Ian Garry's stationary approach, dragging him to the ground and taking control from the opening round. Then Islam landed a beautiful head kick that wobbled Garry before going right back to his suffocating takedown game. Bisping's breakdown was clear. Islam kept dictating where the fight happened, turning Garry's size and movement into a nightmare he simply couldn't escape.
But Ian Garry typically moves around a lot. This time he was rather stationary, standing right in front of him with his lead arm outstretched, which was a very curious strategy, because the lead leg is there to be taken down from Islam Makhachev, and that's what we saw happen. Islam took him down in the first round, got on top of him, looked for some rear naked chokes and stuff like that, but not too much action, not too much ground and pound. Second round, like, wobbled him with a head kick, beautiful shot, and then got some takedowns again. And that was pretty much, the biggest action throughout the fight.
However, Bisping gave Ian Garry credit for his excellent takedown defense, but made it clear that wasn't enough to beat Islam Makhachev. Islam kept forcing Garry to fight defensively, while Garry struggled to create enough offense to turn the momentum around. Bisping's message was brutal. Against a champion like Islam, surviving the takedowns isn't enough. You have to attack, and Garry simply didn't do enough.
Fair play to Ian Garry. He'd done his homework. The takedown defense was on point, right? It was. The way that he was shuffling and scooting to the fence and standing up, and Islam was shooting him with his head on the outside, and sometimes his left arm would get buried. That would allow Ian Garry to try and kind of take his back and then stand up like that. So really good takedown defense. Nice technical work by Ian Garry. But you don't win fights by just being defensive. You've got to be offensive, and there was some offense. There was some head kicks and stuff like that. There was kicks to the body. There was those really good stomping kicks that he does to the lead knee, but it was too little. You don't win fights by being defensively good, right? Yes, you need good defense, of course, but he was just relying on that. He was waiting too much. He was being too patient.
President Dana White praised Islam Makhachev's elite composure and championship-level instincts, showing once again why he is one of the most dangerous fighters in the UFC. Even when Ian Garry pushed him and made the fight competitive, Islam found the opening, exploded into the takedown, took Garry's back, and completely shut the door. Dana then shifted the blame toward Garry, questioning his killer instinct in the 5th round and arguing that he needed to attack with everything he had instead of settling into the moment. In the end, Islam's experience, explosiveness, and ruthless control proved decisive when it mattered most.
I felt like tonight was set up for the upset. I felt like the upset could happen tonight with so much on the line, all the records that Islam has, and he's going to break Anderson Silva's record. There's weight classes for a reason. Ian Garry is a big, rangy, strong guy who has great takedown defense. I mean, if you look at his takedown defense tonight against Islam, it was impressive. I felt like, I think that Ian is a talented guy. If he had even an ounce of killer instinct in that 5th round, You know, he had been beating him to the body. Islam's whole, I think, right side was beat up. His face was beat up. You don't come out and hug and shake hands in the fight. That shit drives me fucking crazy when there's so much at stake, and there's also a lot of mental gamesmanship, whatever you want to call it, in this game. You come out in that fifth round with a flying knee or something crazy, and you try to finish the fight. I think that this is one of those fights that Ian will go back and watch and say, wish I could do that over again. And, you know, if he came out and tried to destroy and win that last round, you know, with everything that he had, I think it's a totally different fight. And then he gives Islam that explosive, he exploded up and got his back, and once he took his back and put the hooks in, that was a wrap. That he's going to ride that out till the round ends.
In addition to that, analyst Luke Thomas says Islam Makhachev deserves his flowers because breaking Anderson Silva's record with 17 straight UFC wins is absolutely mind-boggling, and doing it while conquering 2 weight classes and defending titles makes Islam's dominance feel almost unreal. This wasn't just another victory over Ian Garry, it was a historic statement from one of MMA's most complete fighters ever.
I also think it's very, very important to give Islam Makhachev his flowers. As I indicated, he breaks Anderson Silva's win streak. Dude, getting 17 consecutive fucking wins in the UFC is so mind-bogglingly difficult. And to do that in 2 weight classes through title defenses is just one of the most remarkable things you'll ever see. You can make an argument that this is the best title defense of a champ up a weight class in UFC history.
However, Luke Thomas is practically begging to stop and appreciate the greatness of Islam Makhachev because beating Ian Garry required an insane level of skill, precision, and control. Islam's relentless takedowns, suffocating control, elite passing, submissions, and ability to drop Garry showed just how ridiculously complete this man has become. And the real shocker? At 34 and fighting up at 170, Islam still looked like an absolute nightmare, an almost flawless, error-free machine that keeps every fight on his terms.
Just take a moment and think about all the things that have to go right for you to beat a guy like Islam. Right? Noodle that through. Oh, one big shot could change it. Well, that's true for anybody. And it's especially true for Islam because he's up at 70 and you got some heavy hitters like Proches and you got some heavy hitters like Morales. Morales in particular seems like he could be an interesting one because of what a physical beast he is, right? But he's not nearly as refined as Islam, so we'll have to see. But I want you to sit there and noodle through what it's going to take to beat a guy like that. A guy who can keep himself safe for the most part at range, who's got an unreal diversity of attacks for takedowns, for pinning, for passing, for taking the back, for sub transitions through scrambles. By the way, on the feet, dropped Ian Garry. Again, it was somewhat not fluky, but it wasn't like they were standing apart. It was more of a transition situation off a clinch break, but nevertheless, like just having the target of opportunity and then having the presence of mind to go for it. Like, dude, he had all of that too. I want you to noodle what it's going to take.
Islam Makhachev, truly terrifying is that he's an offense-first machine with elite defense, giving his opponents almost no openings to exploit. While Ian Garry tried to survive behind his defense, Islam kept attacking, controlling, and dictating the fight with relentless precision. That deadly combination of skill, composure, and pressure is exactly what separated Islam from Garry tonight, and it may be what makes Makhachev one of the most complete fighters in UFC history.
What I really respect about Islam is he is an offense-first fighter with very, very critically good defense. And I think that made the difference today. I really do. I would have to think more about where, as I mentioned before, is he the greatest of all time? I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe you guys feel differently. Maybe you have an opinion. If you do, leave one in the super chat. I'd love to see it. Like, do you think this guy is now the best to ever do it? I think, as I indicated, the accomplishment category that he's reaching is totally historically unusual, and just the consistency of excellence as the challenges escalate is so historically unusual. Arguably the most well-rounded guy in terms of what it means to go through escalating challenges in UFC history.
In the end, Islam Makhachev didn't just beat Ian Garry. He reminded the entire UFC why he's operating on a completely different level. From Chael Sonnen and Michael Bisping to Luke Thomas and the Wade concept, the message is clear. Islam's composure, control, striking, takedowns, and championship IQ are terrifyingly complete. Dana White even highlighted Islam's elite instincts while questioning Gary's killer instinct, as Islam once again found a way to take over when it mattered most. And with the Anderson Silva win streak record falling while Islam conquers 2 divisions, this victory wasn't just dominance. It was a historic warning to everyone standing across from him. Islam Makhachev has now turned dominance into a standard, and the MMA world is running out of answers for this champion. The question isn't whether Islam is elite anymore, it's who can actually stop him. But if Ian Garry couldn't crack Islam, is Michael Morales the man who finally has the weapons to solve the Makhachev puzzle?